Kinkead. Welcome to my studio. I'm making a little video to show you some of my summer work that I have here right now. And maybe we could just like do a quick peek around and then we'll go more slowly around the room. So, start here. This is a swim team painting. I can't remember the dimensions of it, but you can see the size of it. This is swim team gold and blue, I think. A lot of these paintings are based on my own childhood memories. I worked as a nanny for 10 years when I was first starting to paint, and I would take the kids to their swim lessons and their swim team meets, and so a lot of the imagery is from that. And also I grew up on a lake in Massachusetts, and we didn't go to camp. Our summers were just spent in the lake on the dock, and so a lot of these are from that as well. This one is called Dreamer Monarch, or Monarch Dreamer, I can't remember. But of course I'm thinking of the Dreamers, and I saw an image on television of someone in protest who's a dreamer and he had his monarch wings on, and I just love that idea. The monarchs travel and for thousands of miles and cross borders seamlessly, and I just love that. I don't know, that imagery, that context. So, and then this is a cannonball with 3 boys. It just reminds me of my childhood growing up and the first day of summer when school was out and we would run down the dock and jump in the water. And just, as a child, I remember like that feeling of just anticipation where you're in the warm air and you know the water's gonna be cold, and you're just like, you know, like you have to do it, you have to jump in the water. And when you're in the air and you know, like in any second, your body's just gonna be in this cold water. And a lot of these paintings are really about, I think as children we feel so, like our senses are just so alive and everything feels amplified in some ways. And I think as we get older, we maybe lose touch with that somewhat. But I have really specific memories of a child of like my dad pushing me just a little bit too high on the swing, and it felt dangerous, and just, it was just thrilling, and just the simplest things. So a lot of these paintings are about that kind of feeling. And this is a bicycle, and again, this is just about, you know, when you first are old enough to go off on your bike by yourself, and that feeling of freedom and movement. I really like working with the sense of motion, because I feel like that's kind of how I see the world in some ways. Like things are always in constant motion, even when we're still. I feel like there's this energy around people and living things that there's like a vibration that happens, and I love kind of incorporating that into my work. And then this is Wish, Traveler, and again, this is, I remember picking dandelions and blowing them and wishing, and really just, you believe it. And I think it's, in some ways, it's about that, just, you know, that trust in these simple things, and what, you know, trust in nature, trust in the magical, and so. And then we'll go, these are some smaller pieces over here. This is Campfire Twilight, and I was a Girl Scout, and we were, you know, we always had campfires as kids, and I remember being terrified of the fire. and it was, but there was something, again, just magical about sitting around and toasting marshmallows and this intimacy that happened around the campfire. And just the meditation of watching it. And it's a really interesting challenge as a painter to try and get the feeling of light bouncing off skin and clothing. I'm still working on that, but it's so. And then this is another little cannonballer jumping in. And then this last one is called Cosmic Reader. And I love the idea of, thinking about traveling, and whether it's physically traveling or how, I feel like I travel all the time just in my mind, in my imagination. And sometimes that feels more powerful and real than actually traveling somewhere, or you travel and then the memory of it. But I love the idea of when we read or listen to music or have these experiences in our minds or imaginations that you really could be reading a book and feel like you're in outer space or on the moon. And so it's just kind of an homage to that sense of traveling in one's mind. So, and then this fall, I will be releasing some more work. This is just a little precursor of some work that I'm going to be showing this fall, again in my studio. And I also got 2 horses, and they'll be joining me in a couple of weeks, and this is similar to one of them, but I'm hoping they'll keep me company and be good listeners during COVID. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining me in my studio, and stay tuned for more video from my studio.
Thank you.